It appears that prosecutors are after former President Donald Trump, as well as his former attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Now, this is according to a new report in the Daily Beast that cites from people familiar with the matter. Local prosecutors in Fulton County, Georgia. You remember Fulton County, Georgia, right? Went decisively to Joe Biden. And that's where, of course, President Donald Trump has said, you need to look for the fraud. The fraud, it's in Fulton. All the fraud, all of it, it's in Fulton. Oh, okay. Well, now Fulton, those prosecutors in that county are looking into whether or not that they can apply false statement charges against Rudy Giuliani and other members of Trump's team for their attempts to meddle in the election in the state. Of course, this is related to the call to Brad Raffensperger in the state to try to get him to find more votes. Just find me the votes. Find me the votes. And then you also had him calling this other election official and urging her to find votes as well. Don't look at Fulton. Look at the Fulton County. It's full of the greatest fraud, the biggest fraud you've ever seen. You will be considered to be a hero if you find that. So there's that. All right. Now, Giuliani, according to the article, apparently twice gave phony evidence and presented wild conspiracy theories in an effort to toss out the votes against a Republican president who made specific false claims that were recorded in 2 separate phone calls to state election officials, and Fulton County prosecutors are considering charges. Interesting. So now several former district attorneys from Georgia told the website that investigators could be looking into state law. So there's apparently a state law in Georgia that makes it a felony crime to knowingly and willingly give false statements on any matter within the jurisdiction of the state government, a charge that carries a prison term of 1 to 5 years. Interesting. So they are currently looking into whether or not they can apply this particular law to Giuliani. Fascinating. I love it. Now, in a February 10th letter to state officials that was first made public by the New York Times, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis did note that her investigation includes, among other crimes, potential violations of Georgia law prohibiting the making of false statements to state and local governmental bodies. The Fulton County District Attorney's Public Integrity Team is said to be focusing on false claims Giuliani made about quote-unquote phantom votes and a misleadingly edited video to state legislators. Oh, a suspiciously edited video? No. Oh, well, they would never do that, would they? Stares in Project Veritas. Just saying. All right. Anyway, now let's see. As well as Trump's false assertions and phone calls to Raffensperger and that elections investigator, that same investigator whose call I reported somehow ended up in the trash of her computer. The recycle bin. Gee, how'd that get in there? I don't know. I didn't even. I recorded the call and then I put it in the trash. I don't know how it got there though. Interesting story. Very interesting. Now, Giuliani, according to Titus Nichols, the former violent crimes prosecutor in Augusta, says Giuliani knows he's lying when he says that there's no secret ballots. That's him presenting false information. And with him being an attorney, it's even more clear that he's lying. As a lawyer, you can't just make up ridiculous theories. It's funny because him, being disbarred, if he was actually disbarred, not just from New York, I think New York did disbar him, but if he was disbarred across the country, then technically that would actually have helped him because, hey, look, I'm saying all these things, but I'm not a lawyer anymore. It's sort of the same, if you were to say that, no, that's just my opinion, that would actually be the same defense as another former Trump lawyer, Sidney Powell. I don't know what his defense is going to be in this case. Maybe he'll go in that route. Or maybe say, well, no, I'm not lying. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. What are you talking about? We'll have to see what happens, really. But anyway, applying this state law to the former president's attorney would be a beyond rare strategy, former prosecutors say. However, they do take a note that it was Trump's team's conduct after the election was also beyond rare. So, we'll see. Prosecutors would face a steep challenge, according to one former district attorney, because they would almost certainly encounter jurors who would believe those election conspiracy theories, and defense attorneys could present conservative state legislators who don't believe Giuliani's statements were lies. And this, after this quote here by Kenneth Malden, he said, I think it's clearly going to be an uphill climb. The longtime district attorney, Malden is the longtime district attorney for the area covering Athens. So, great. Now, what do I think about this? Well, that last part, the fact that it is very difficult to do this because you have people that believe this lie. Well, it's a good example of how propaganda, how you repeat a lie enough times, you start to get people to believe it. And this is what Giuliani and Trump did. This was part of their brilliant strategy. Okay, they went on social and conservative media and talked endlessly about how the election was stolen from you. How the votes were rigged. They were changed to Biden. The election machines were, inhabited by the ghost of Hugo Chavez and all that stuff, and rigged the votes, literally flipping them to Joe Biden. And he went around that. They went around there talking about these conspiracy theories and spreading all sorts of different ones. And then, the entire right-wing ecosphere would amplify that and regurgitate that. They were all saying it. And now that minority of people who were spreading that disinformation, they might be small, but they are incredibly loud. And they are far-reaching because they have one thing that the rest of us don't have. They got all the money. And they have all the money because they've essentially acted as a money funneling operation to the rich. And so the rich, in pursuit of ever lower taxes and corporations, in pursuit of less and less regulation, they look at the Republicans and say, well, you guys are useful idiots. You'll believe anything. You'll believe the wealth trickles down. So what we're going to do is that we're going to bribe your politicians into working for us. And so you're going to pass all the tax cuts that we want, and we don't really care what happens. So at the end of the day, they end up having that money, which acts as a gigantic megaphone. And then, of course, they basically left this monster to fester for like the last 30, 40 years. And of course, and trying to continue to disprove the facts and disprove the studies and continue to make the case that, no, if we just give more taxes cuts to the rich, in opposition to what reality does show. Well, I mean, in doing that, they also made these people able to believe essentially anything. Climate change doesn't exist. Why? Because my friends in big oil, my donors in big oil, their business would be impacted. So, we're not going to do that. Oh, no, we don't like education either. So we're going to stop funding the colleges to give tax cuts to our corporate donors and our wealthy donors. And as a result, we're going to tell you that, no, education, higher education, that's just liberal brainwashing. And that's bad. And it's against the family. It's against all this stuff. And so, we're going to cut the education. We're going to make it so that education bad. And that everybody believes education bad. On and on. You look at the conservative, what they believe, an ideology, and usually it can tie back somewhere at some point to helping rich people and corporations stay rich. And that's generally what it boils down to. And so as a result, you got these conservatives, they've got the means, they got their message, and they got people like, their messengers. They got Rush Limbaugh or had Rush Limbaugh to spread it. And they posed as a counterculture to what is essentially a more diverse America. And that's how this is all kind of connected. And so, you got these Trump voters that are living in an alternative reality in order to get away from the one we're actually in, where, we recognize that minorities are supposed to all be equal, right? We're all supposed to have equal rights, where women are not second-class citizens to men, where immigration is actually a net positive for the country, that science is a way of explaining how the world actually works, and on and on and on. They don't want to live in this reality because in that world, they're not on top. They're not special. They're not the breadwinners. They're not the alphas. They're not the community leaders. They're not the leaders at all. And their ideology and racism are no longer considered to be acceptable or palatable to society. And so Donald Trump, his big promise was to bring that back. But fortunately for him, you can't undo the progress. The best the right can do now is piss people off, do demagoguery, and then milk those same angry people for cash, those scared, angry people. And that's what it's been about for Trump and Rudy. And so that's, again, what this entire conspiracy theory is essentially about, is trying to hold on to that last gasp of conservative ideology. And I would love to see Trump and Rudy pay for the harm that they've contributed doing to this country and trying to overturn a legitimate election based on these conspiracy theories to try to uphold this conservative ideological bubble facade that they've had going for so long. Will it happen? I don't know. I hope it does. I hope maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, maybe not next year. But at some point, that conservative ideology always ends up failing, and we will actually begin to progress as a society. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.